Hello and welcome to another episode of Leaders of Transformation. We are in a series on how to start a movement, and we have an incredible movement maker here. She has not just started one movement, she started two, probably more along the way if you think of all the other things that she's doing. So Wendy Diamond is just a dynamo, and I'm just excited to have her here. She is an internationally renowned social entrepreneur, impact investor, humanitarian, best-selling author, TV personality, and do-gooder. And she is the CEO and founder of the Women's Entrepreneurship Day organization, WEDO. And she's also, she also started a animal rescue movement. And so we'll talk about that. So I'm just really excited to have her here. Welcome, Leaders Transformation, Wendy.
Woohoo! Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. So why don't we just dive right in? And that's I gave them a very quick overview on you, but there's so much to what you're doing. So I think it would be better for you just to kind of unpack it a little bit more for us.
I know, it's like, oh my gosh. My background is, I'm Wendy Diamond. I grew up in Ohio from a little town called Chagrin Falls, 2,500 people. I basically, from there, grew up with animals and everything, and always just been in love with animals. You know, I've had rabbits growing up, I've had horses, dogs, cats, everything. And so when I moved to New York City, I realized, wow, you know, I really want to have a dog. And so I went to the city shelter, and when I got there, and this was around 1998, 99. And when I got there were all these like amazing breeds, right? There was like a purebred Maltese that I adopted named Lucky, and I also adopted a cat because when I went to the cat floor, I was like, oh my gosh. And there was this gorgeous, really handsome Russian blue cat that I named Pasha because he was Russian. And so I adopted them. And when I went to go do research, right, I realized, wow, nobody's doing anything about animal rescue. And nobody's talking about how there's 12 million animals euthanized a year. This was in 1999, right? You saw a lot of dog breeders and a lot of dog shows, and but you never really saw any information out there about rescue. And so that's when I've been an entrepreneur my whole life. After college, I sent out 300 resumes. Nobody called me back or gave me a job. So I've always been, had an entrepreneurial mindset. And I've always just done my own thing. And I've just always had to figure out and be creative on how to make things happen. And I've been like that since, I was very young. So I came back home, after adopting these two dogs, and everyone would be like, oh my gosh, where'd you get this dog? Can I get one? And I feel like the shelter. They're like, no, you can't get that kind of breed in the shelter. So it kind of hit me that literally after all the research I did, I said, you could adopt any breed, any size, any age, any color. I knew if we brought that to the forefront of media, we could change people's mindsets to adopt versus buy. So I knew, being from Ohio, I loved TV and I love, celebrities and I love pop culture. So I decided to create the very first premier media company called Animal Fair, a little play on Vanity Fair, but it was really more so animal welfare and bringing awareness towards the importance of animal welfare and pets in our lives, right? So I coined the term pet lifestyle. I went and I rallied like just everyone I knew, if it was from like, the deli, the person working at the deli to my friend's mother, to the hairdresser, to whoever. And I just kept talking at the beginning about, I'm going to create this media company, right? Eventually I learned how to raise money, and I raised a little bit of money to create this media company. And I decided that we're going to bring celebrities and pop culture to the animal rescue world. Because in 99, not one advertiser had pets in their ads. Nobody had celebrities and pets.
Wow.
And so I put Renee Zellweger on if anybody saw Judy, it was fantastic. But Renee Zellweger was our first cover with her dog Dylan at the time. And we launched Animal Fair, the first media company to ever promote animal rescue and pet lifestyle and bridging celebrities and pop culture to the animal rescue world. So we launched creating the very first pet fashion show in history. In 1999, we had Hilary Swank at our fashion show. And what we did is we got famous fashion designers, because I knew if we brought famous fashion designers, we could get press and people would talk about it. And then we got celebrities, Hillary Swank at the time just starred in a movie called Boys Don't Cry, right? And who else did we get? Angie Harmon, and her husband at the time was like the quarterback for the New York Giants. And we just had this big event called Pause for Style. And it was getting rescue dogs walked on a runway by celebrities or famous people. And then we would get designers, famous fashion designers. We had everyone from like, Gucci to Burberry to Kate Spade, etc. And Kate Spade actually came to our events, while she was alive, rest in peace. And so we created this whole big thing and all the news picked it up. And that's where New York Times and Vanity Fair and Forbes and Fox, everyone covered our launch, which was the first, media company to bring celebrities and pop culture to the animal rescue world, to bring awareness to the importance of adoption. And so that's when we launched. When we launched in the first few years, this is the reason why we believe Howard Stern and Beth Stern are in animal rescue. They started coming to our fashion shows. At that time, they bought their dogs, right? And then they started learning. And so we were like kind of the pioneers in bringing that. And it was really just from the love and passion I had to bring awareness towards the 12 million animals euthanized a year. Because at that time, truly, if you look back in history, you'll see nobody was talking about it. So during that time, I just had fun with life, right? I created, the Canine Comedy, where we got all these famous comedians. So if you Google my name with like Tina Fey and Rachel Dratch and all the Saturday Night Live people at the time, they all showed up, and to raise money again for animal rescue. And Joy Behar and so forth came and did that. And so, I just kind of created just all these fun, different events that we knew that people could emulate around the world and in their different communities to help their local animal rescue. Because the key to the game is rescue is local, to support your local rescue animal shelter, right? Because they don't have all the money that these big groups have to promote themselves. So that was the idea behind what we were doing. Pet travel. At the time we launched, there was only like a few people in the pet fashion world. Now there's so many, right? And now, as you see, as time's gone by, but, I have to say, I have 10 books out, how to understand men through their dogs, how to train your boss to roll over, how to understand women through their cats. So I created all these books and ideas, and I was on the Today Show twice a month, and I had a primetime show on CBS called Greatest American Dog, and all this stuff to just bring awareness towards the importance of rescue, right? And we, I have 3 Guinness World Records, where one of ours was my dog that inspired my whole life in animal rescue, Lucky, was diagnosed with spleen cancer. And so I decided, my dog didn't have a long time to live. We were doing chemo and the whole thing was a disaster. And I decided to do a celebration of my dog's life, right? And so we created the most expensive pet wedding in history, where my dog got the Guinness World Record. Woohoo! But then who was my dog gonna marry, right? Because the cake boss, Buddy and the cake boss were like, we want to film this, blah, 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 blah. So for an episode on the cake boss. So from that, I said, okay, who's gonna marry my dog? Because the dog that was gonna marry my dog was gonna be a rescue that I would adopt, right? But in the meantime, a friend of mine had a dog she was fostering and said, hey, would you take care of this dog? And she was leaving town, she has some family issues. And I was like, sure. So the next thing I know, I'm fostering this dog, dealing with my dog, Lucky, who was having chemo, and it was just really a tough time. And then my dog died before the wedding. So I ended up just adopting the dog that I was fostering, named Baby. And that's how we created the most expensive pet wedding in history. Is we got all these people around town wanted to support my dog, because my dog was, in New York City, where I live now. We really are huge supporters of the Humane Society of New York. We have, raised millions and millions of dollars for animal rescue. So the Essex House, which is a really fancy hotel, was like, oh, we'll donate our we'll donate our ballroom. And then the next thing I know, this really incredible woman who's the #1 party planner in New York, Harriet Rose Katz, was like, called me crying, I heard your dog's dying. Let me do your wedding. Let me do the whole party for you. So the next thing we know, we have a 21-piece orchestra. We had Floralia flowers from like Waldorf, $50,000 worth of flowers, and everybody donated. So the most expensive wedding was actually donations, right? And so we had a really big celebration of my dog's life. And fast forward, at that time, I was blessed. At the time I wasn't blessed, with a stalker, bully. A woman created 50 anonymous email addresses to defame and slander me. So at that time, my whole life was falling apart. I couldn't figure it out. And I found 10 other victims of this woman, but we couldn't do anything. Like, I became friends with the police commissioner, everything to try to solve this. And she would go to Starbucks in the library to send the email so we could never track the IP. So my whole life in the animal world fell apart after spending literally a lifetime trying to help animal rescue. So literally a year later, after all that, no one was calling me anymore. My life fell apart. This woman totally, ruined my life in the animal world, literally. So one of the things at that time also is my father passed away. And at that time, I made a commitment to myself that I would go to 2 new countries a year for the rest of my life, because I love the world and I love seeing the world. And I get I'm a Virgo, so I'm the most passionate sign in the zodiac. And so I get really into my projects and I really love it. So I ended up in Honduras on vacation, not realizing at the time when I booked it, it was the murder capital of the world. And when I got there, I was at this boutique hotel in the jungle, and and all these people who were there were obsessed with birds. So they were willing to risk their lives to visit Honduras when I just happened to be there because I didn't realize it was the murder capital of the world. They were willing to risk their lives to watch birds. After 2 days of watching birds, I thought I was going to go cuckoo myself. And I literally was like, ah! So the guy at the hotel was like, listen, there's an organization that gives microloans to poor women. Why don't you go check it out? And this is in 2013. And so in 2013, while I'm in Honduras, I go and take a couple-hour drive. He's like, I know the development director. It's safe. Go check it out. And I ended up going to this little community where these people were impoverished, right? They had no electricity. If they did, it was they tried to figure it out with the lights and everything. And every story of these women, one woman was 72 years old. She had 3 little kids. And I'm like, how did you have these kids? She was older. And she's like, my daughter passed away and, her husband ran off and I had these little kids. And I got a $100 microloan from Adelante, this organization that I was visiting that were providing microloans to poor women. And she opened up her window in her 1-room hut with the dirt floor and was selling Cokes and toothpaste and was able to pay $1 a month for those kids to go to school. And I was supposed to spend only a couple hours there. I spent a couple days and I just fell in love with this whole community and what this organization was doing for these women. And I started thinking about and learning about all the statistics about women in business at the time. These loans that these women get, those women are paying those loans back at a 98% rate, right? When women earn money, 98% of it also goes back to funding, the community, their family, and educating their children, right? Which uplifts the entire community. And, when you look at it, at the time, 1% of venture dollars were going to women-owned businesses, right? And you looked at all the statistics about gender equality, and nobody was really talking about it at the time. This is 2013. And so I came back to New York and I thought, wow, I just was so inspired by, I can never get that one older woman off my mind, how she was 72 and got back on that horse and started her own little business, and was able to educate those children paying $1 a month to go to school. And I thought, wow, if she can do it, I can do something new, right? So I was inspired to do what I did in the animal world. When I learned that 12 million animals were euthanized a year, I knew by bringing celebrities and pop culture to the animal rescue world, we could bring awareness that you could adopt any breed, any size, any age, any color, right? And now that number in the animal rescue world is down to 2 million. And when you look in history why that happened, it's clearly because animals are now part of our families. It's part of pop culture.
Yes.
You can't watch 5 minutes on any TV show or any website or anything without seeing a pet, right? Because pets are the greatest thing you can ever have in your life, right? Right? Happy. Wait, my dog's, hold on. My funny little Happy.
Aw,
So
adorable.
I could never live life without an animal. They are seriously the cutest, funnest, sweetest things. And as you know, they bring down, they're good for high blood pressure. They're good for stress. They help in every matter, everything. So anyway, so I came back. So after that, I decided that I would create a day in the world, because why not, right? Because I don't know. I guess I just believe you can do anything in life, because I've never, I've always had to figure out my own way as an entrepreneur, right? And so I decided that I would create Women's Entrepreneurship Day, because no one at the time in 2013 was speaking about women entrepreneurs, right? Or speaking about the statistics of why it's so important to empower women in business, right? Because when women are empowered in business, they have self-confidence and dignity. They don't allow human rights violations. We're a capitalist society. Give a hand up, not a hand out. So I decided to create a day in the world. And so I went to Governor Cuomo, Mayor de Blasio of New York, and I said, hey, listen, let's create, will you proclaim a day, right? Because I didn't, why not, right? So I said, would you proclaim Women's Entrepreneurship Day? And so they did. The first year we launched in 2014, they proclaimed Women's Entrepreneurship Day. And then I went around the world to everybody I knew around the world. And I said, who in your country or who in your state is the greatest women to bring governments, business leaders, civil society together to collaborate to find solutions to uplift women in business? So that's how I decided, as a grassroots way, because remember, like, I didn't really have money, and I had to, and I had to get people that would be able to do it in there, and we're already pretty much successful, that wanted to give back to their own communities, right? So it took a long time, and it took a few crazy things, like people appropriating our day and appropriating me and trying to throw me under the bus again. But you know what? When you don't care about money, fame, or power, you can do anything. So I kept going, right? And we now are literally in 144 countries. So if you Google it, you'll be like, holy cow. And, Mayor Garcetti in Los Angeles, dedicated money in the budgets to fund women entrepreneurs. He celebrates, every year Women's Entrepreneurship, and he proclaimed the day. This year, the governor of Oklahoma proclaimed the day. This year, the president of Mexico proclaimed the day. So all around the world, we're celebrated. Think TED, like TED Talks.
Yeah.
But WED. So instead of people talking about themselves and ideas, we bring governments, business leaders, civil society together to collaborate to find solutions to uplift women in business in their own communities, right? And so that's how I created Women's Entrepreneurship Day. And then one of our social impact initiatives is called Choose Women. And to ask everyone in the world the Wednesday after Thanksgiving to choose women. And so this year we partnered with Publicis, the ad agency, and the creative agency, the award-winning Bartle Bogle Hegarty. And now we're doing, so for this year, the Wednesday after Thanksgiving, we're launching this huge campaign called Choose Women. And that took 5 years. I mean, so again, it's, what I want people to realize, nothing's easy, number one. I make it look like it's easy, but it's not. But I just have a good attitude. It's about being positive. It's having persistence. It's having perseverance. It's being peppy and positive. It's being just, understanding, like, if you really want to do something, you can do it, but it really takes hard work, right? So I've been trying to do Choose Women for 5 years, 4 years, right? Because I knew, again, you have Small Business Saturday, you have Giving Tuesday, you have Black Friday, and, why not take the Wednesday and make that for women? And so I've been asking Bartle Bogle Hegarty, and the woman who is the chairwoman, she's a chairwoman, right? And I said, oh my gosh, you have to do this, you have to do this. And, the first year I went to her like 3 years ago, she's like, oh, Wendy, I'm having a baby. I'm like, oh my gosh, congratulations. Okay, I get it. Okay. And then like the next year I said, Sarah, her name is Sarah. I said, Sarah, did you have the baby? What happened? She's, I'm so busy. I have the baby, Wendy, I can't do it this year, but I'm so excited. Let's talk again next year. So, I talked about, and then finally now she's had the baby, she's back to normal. And now rallied her whole team at Bartle Bogle Hegarty, and we're going to be launching Choose Women this year. So if you go to choosewomen.org, you'll see it. It's basically saying to everyone, the Wednesday after Thanksgiving, let's choose women, whether it's women in business, women in fashion, women in politics, and let's promote to the world what woman inspired us, right? Because everybody in their lives have a woman, but it's about bringing awareness to the importance of women in our lives.
Wow.
So
It's a little,
I mean, there's a lot in between. That's, that's it.
that is amazing. And so one of the things that, I mean, there's so much there to unpack, of course. And like you said, you make it look easy. It's like, well, we did this and then we did that and then this happened, but there's a lot of work that goes beyond, behind the scenes on that.
Yeah.
And the first thing that came to mind was, how does a girl from Ohio get so connected in with all these celebrities? How did you attract them? Certainly your pep, your enthusiasm and so forth. But even like most people who think about doing something, I think we think too small. We think too small, like, okay, I'm going to do this little thing. And, who am I to ask so-and-so to get involved in my thing? But what I see with you, it's like, there's this, big expectations, and why wouldn't they? Because this is like such a super awesome idea. So
Exactly.
yeah. So talk about that process. Like if somebody's like, I have this really important idea. And of course, I'm also thinking as I'm listening to you, I'm going, wow, we need your energy in all these other movements like human trafficking and all these different things, because creating that type of vibe and that awareness around topics, that's what creates change. And
Yeah.
you've demonstrated that.
And real change is from the ground up.
Yes.
When you look at a lot of these movements, it's the top, right? And the top are supporting the top, and they're not thinking, but at the end of the day, really, if you want to create change, it's from a ground up. It's engaging everyone in the world to understand, right? And simplifying it enough, because everyone in the world wants to help. You just have to make it really easy for them.
Yeah. So how do you make it easy for them? Like, how did you deliver your message in such a way that you got celebrities involved, and then from there got everybody else involved in the process?
Well, oh gosh. I think it's truly, I just have no fear. I've been on, I've never had a job. So I've always had to figure it out, right? And what's the worst that people can say? No, right? And I have this funny saying, not everyone's meant to get married together. Not everyone's meant to be friends together. And not everyone's meant to work together, right? But once you find the right people, it flows and it's fun and it's exciting. And sure, people are, believe me, I have bullies, I have stalkers, I have so many people against me. It's like crazy. And I just kind of laugh because I think to myself, wow, if they spend all that time on more positive things, think about how better the world would be, right?
Yeah.
And I realized you can't explain mentally ill people, right? And so I think in life, you just have to surround yourself with people who believe in you, that are positive. And I think don't let people get you down, right? Because definitely when I had my stalker and bully, like for a year, I was like, oh my God, I see why people commit suicide, right? But none of the stuff she was saying was true. And the people that stopped talking to me or did not, whatever, those are enablers. Those are people who enabled that bully to win, right? And I have to say, I feel like the luckiest person on earth. I mean, I now, my stalker actually admitted to me that she did it. And there was nothing I could do. She did it at the United Nations. And she was like crying and she's like, I just want to say, and I'm like, the only way I will accept your apology is if you admit it to the world and the people that you let, know this, right? And she never did. And I literally, it's just crazy. And so I think at the end of the day, I just feel like, what's the worst that could happen? Someone can say, no, that's it. So go shoot for the stars, right? And shoot for whatever you want to do it. Keep your day job so you can pay your rent and you can eat. But, find something that you're so passionate about in life, because that'll keep you going and it'll give you the energy and the excitement wake up in the morning, right? And be like, yeah, I can do this. And I mean, I think way too big. I mean, believe me, I'm like, but I think, at the end, we all can do whatever we want in life, and it's all in our mind. The way we see, think, and feel is in our mind. So if we think we can do that, and remember, you can change your mind in 1 second and feel this way. If we think we can do this, we can do it, right?
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Your passion, your energy, a lot of times with that personality, it's like you're all over the place, and you may be all over the place, but
I'm not that way.
But you get stuff done too. Like you're like, okay,
8
let's make it happen.
I sleep 8 hours a day.
Yeah.
I maybe drink once every 6 months. Like, I don't drink. I'm healthy. I've been a vegetarian since 7 years old. I'm just healthy. I do yoga. I meditate. And, I do a lot. But the crazy I know is the crazy I'm fine with.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I think about like one of my nieces, when she was a little girl, she had all of this energy and so forth. And I used to say to my brother, cause he's like, what do I do with this? Right. It's just like, she's great, driving me crazy. Of course, she was just like him. That's why, but you know how that works. But I said to him, I said, don't break her spirit, channel it. I mean, if you can channel that energy, you have all this incredible passion and power and all of that and influence. If you can channel that like you have done in a particular area, and then have people around you that can support it and make sure that things get done and stays organized. Oh my goodness, what you can create is so incredible. And then of course, when you talk about stalkers and so forth, whenever you do anything really big, people are going to want to shoot you down. If you're if nobody's shooting, it's like the saying, right? If nobody's shooting you down, you might not be doing anything significant.
Right.
in the world.
No, I get it. Yeah. And I think, everybody's so, I mean, I don't want to be, whatever, but I think, when you look at, children today, right? Oh, they can't focus. Let's give them, they have ADD. Let's give them some drug to like calm them down. It's like, no. What is ADD? I'm not interested. If I was interested, I would focus. So to look at life more of like what you're really passionate about and then embrace that. I think today, the way school's set up is archaic. It's been around, the system and the way education is set up has been around for hundreds of years, right? Times have changed, right? I think experiential education is probably the best education that one could get, right? And to be able to find what you're passionate about at a young age and just, nurture that with your children, right? So that they believe in themselves and build confidence with themselves that they do know something and that they can be something.
Absolutely. Oh.
You're like, woo!
Yeah. It's so true. It's so true. It's like, I love what you said there. It's like, I'm not interested. So when somebody's interested in something, they're going to focus on it,
exactly.
And it's just, and there's so much dumbing down, even like with social media, we get so bogged down. We have these great ideas. And then, you wake up in the morning. I know people would have actually said this, right? I had this great plan. I've done this myself. I have this great plan for what I'm going to do. And then what do? I check my phone first. And then I end up on Facebook, and then I'm like, what just happened? 20 minutes went by, and your energy shifts to stay. Right. So what I hear and what you're saying is you also focused in on a particular thing, and you didn't necessarily box yourself in that's what you were going to do with the rest of your life, because it was animals and now it's women and it's all of it. Yeah. Right. And it's not, I'm just thinking about like some of the things that are, lessons that we can extract from you just doing what you're doing, and one of those is, like I said, focusing on one thing, putting all your energy into that. And then when you find something else, just, focusing in on that. Yeah, and it all happens kind of like you went to a Humane Society to adopt a dog, and here we are,
I ended up in Honduras on vacation. And I just think, and then I got a stalker that ruined my whole life and the life that I spent my whole life creating. But everything's a positive in life.
Yes.
And you might know it in a day, a week, 10 years, 20 years, whatever it is, right? And as long as whatever you're going through, you're learning something. And sometimes it's so bad, you're like, this can't be there, and And I just think that people just need to really, realize like it's all in your mind. And that if you can really change your attitude and really realize, that, your life, you have one life, and live it and do what you really love to do, keep the day job, but, just do what you love to do, because that's going to keep you every day excited.
Yes, absolutely. So for our movement makers who are listening, oh my goodness, you've given us so much, like a shot in the arm. You gave us a shot in the arm. It's awesome.
Oh gosh.
It's awesome. I love it. And I was going to ask you, what is your superpower? I think we just experienced it right there in that power of influence and enthusiasm. And enthusiasm is contagious. And you have enrolled so many people into your movement. And you can't do it all alone. You've brought people around you and all of that. What else would you say, other than what we've talked about here already, because there's so much already there, but what would you say to that movement maker, that aspiring movement maker who says, I have an idea, and their mind, right? In their mind, they are talking themselves out of it, or they've been getting ready to get ready, and they're like, I really want to do this thing, and I really think this is important, and somebody should do something about this, or however it's actually being verbalized. What would you tell them?
Well, I think, kind of we've gone through it and everybody says this, just do it. Right? It's, it's again in your mind, and you need to change your mind to say, like you could wake up in the morning and decide you're the happiest person in the world, or, oh, I'm depressed. But you're making that decision, right? So you need to change your mind to say, I'm doing this. And then you actually do it, right? Because it's all about action, right? It's all about, so if you have this dream of creating a movement, then how are you going to do it if you're not doing it?
Yes.
Right? So it's about really just doing it, taking that each step, like every day, writing down, by the end of today, I'm going to get this done, right? And start small and get your own little community together, right? Because you really just have to test it out. Does this work? Does that work? Believe me, I mean, it's, in our movement, it's all volunteer, right? So I've got to get everybody, and we create a toolkit, and we get everybody to do these, and it's tough, right? And you're dealing with stuff, and you're like, oh my God, I hate doing this. I hate it, but I have to do it to make it happen. And so, not every day is great, right? But the positive far outweighs any negative. And so I think the most important thing is I just have to do it.
Yeah. Awesome. Wendy, thank you. What is next for you? You're the Choose Women, right?
Oh,
but I know that's not it.
Choose Women. And because I thought I was going to become an impoverished woman myself about 4.5 years ago, because my stalker ruined my whole life and like the whole thing. And so I started investing in impact and Bitcoin. I'm a big supporter of Bitcoin. And now I'm advising some of the most disruptive technology companies in the world. So I'm using what I've learned in my whole life and bringing it together and working with some of the most brilliant people I've ever met that are so high integrity and passionate about their different things. So one company I'm involved in investing and advising, and I love it. It's, to me, like such a dream to be able to do this, but I'm bringing all my connections to help the world. So one company I'm in is called Producers Market. If you go to producersmarket.com, it's the Alibaba to empower farmers. So I brought the government of India and the United Nations Environmental Program to a project where we're putting 6 million impoverished farmers onto our platform. And then I brought IBM to this company. And now through IBM's Food Trust, Walmart and Carrefour, in about a year from now, when you scan the barcode, you're going to be able to see that farmer in India, the real farmer and follow, who has 1 hectare of land, who's getting $1, who's now going to get $2, part of bringing traceability and transparency of the supply chain through this technology company that I told you about, Producers Market. So that's one project, that I'm involved with. And another one is called IGP METHANOL. It's the cleanest fuel in the world. And we have the technology to make any diesel engine 50 to 70% less carbon emissions. Now, if you would have asked me like about these companies and technologies about 5 years ago, I'd be like, I don't understand any of this. But I just am always learning, and I go to meetups. And that's why I tell everybody, I go to meetups. I'm with like 22-year-olds learning about robotics. But I just want to learn and stimulate my mind and be open, because the more open you are, the more open to everybody in your world. Granted, you know, some people are, there's some bad people, but like if you're open, you never know what doors can open, right? And because of my background and all this stuff, it's just this evolution of being able to understand the more you collaborate in life and the more you're open to collaboration, the bigger movements and the bigger changes you can make to make this world a better place.
Brilliant. Wendy, oh my goodness. I wish we could just if we could just bottle you and like sell you.
Yeah,
it's awesome.
It's a lot. I know but you know what's weird? I'm not overwhelmed. I'm very just at peace. Yes. And it's like whatever happens, happens. And if it all falls apart today, I'm lucky I still have a home, I have my dog, and I can eat pizza. So I just, think try, right?
Yes.
And you know what? Life's not bad if it doesn't work out, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, thank you so much, Wendy. I so appreciate you. What a perfect ending to our Movement Maker series. I mean, obviously, we're going to continue on, and we have other series coming. We're going to be talking to amazing movement makers in different arenas and diving into different topics. But for this, for people that are looking to start a movement, what does it take? I hear, just do it, have that focus, and get it done, not just think about it, take action on it, collaborate, have people bring people around you. You can't do it all on your own, and go with the flow. I hear flow. I hear a lot of flow and a lot of fun, and just, it's really, really great. I appreciate you so much. And I would encourage our listeners to go to choosewomen.org, also wendydiamond.com, and we'll make sure that all of the links are in the show notes, also to Animal Fair and all this coolness, so that you can find out about what Wendy's doing and continue to be even re-inspired as you see, if you need that. Sometimes we do need that shot in the arm. We're in the trenches and we're trying to figure out how to do things, and things get difficult. Maybe you have some things that don't work out or people that come against you. You got to have resources where you can go and get that shot in the arm. And so if that's what you need today, then you know what, go to Wendy's. You probably already got it now, of course, listening to this interview. But if you need that extra little shot in the arm, then go and see what Wendy's doing and see what is possible. A woman from Ohio who went to a humane society and rescued a dog, and here she is today. And so if she can do it, so can you. So we encourage you to take action. I'm a big believer that leaders of transformation take action. We'd love to hear your stories. You can go on leadersoftransformation.com. You can find me through there. Let us know what you're doing. Find us on social, follow us, and let us know what you're doing and what you're planning to do and how you need support, because we'd love to support you in that and what you're looking to create in the world. So, because I know that together, as we work together, we can make this world a better place. And we invite you into that too, so that we can work together on that. So we thank you, Wendy. Again, thank you so much. And we look forward to seeing you all in the next episode of Leaders of Transformation real soon.